As the Chicago Bears gear up for what's set to be a pivotal showdown against the Minnesota Vikings, fans are left wrestling with a mix of excitement, anxiety, and the looming specter of injuries. We've seen this film before in Bears Nation, haven't we? Just when hope soars high, the shadows of uncertainty creep in, threatening to pull the rug out from under us. Is this season going to turn into one of those heartbreaking chapters we've come to dread? Or will the Bears defy the odds and silence the doubters? The stakes are high, and every fan knows that the health of key players could make or break our chances of a playoff push. In a world where every snap counts, the whispers around the injury report are more than just routine, they're pivotal. History tells us that the absence of key players can drastically alter the fate of the team. Remember the time when injuries derailed our season hopes? The echoes of past heartbreak linger, filled with missed opportunities and what-ifs that haunt us every time we feel optimistic. These are not just players on a roster. They are leaders, playmakers, and the heartbeat of a Bears defense desperate to reclaim glory in the NFC North. This is Bears News Fan Report, where we bring you the latest and greatest in Chicago Bears coverage. If you want to stay ahead of the curve, now's the time to hit that subscribe button. With the season underway and emotions running high, you'll want every detail of the Bears' journey right at your fingertips. Now, on to the news that's got everyone talking. Kyler Gordon and Jalen Johnson, just when we thought we could. Finally see the Bears' secondary at full strength. News has emerged that could send shockwaves through our game plans. Kyler Gordon has been added to the injury report, facing a hamstring issue that arose unexpectedly during Saturday's practice. It's not just your run-of-the-mill ailment either. Hamstring injuries are notoriously tricky and often linger longer than players would like. Initially listed as questionable, there's a sense in the air that we might not see Gordon on the field when the lights shine brightest tomorrow night. And let's not forget about Jalen Johnson, already a game-time decision himself. Johnson's history with injuries leads us to worry just how effective he could be if he does end up playing. Imagine stepping onto the field, still working to regain your rhythm after missing all of training camp. A tall order against a rival like the Vikings. With our top corners both in questionable status, the secondary could be more compromised than we ever anticipated. So what does this mean for the Bears? If Kyler Gordon is unable to go, we may be left with Nick Mloud as our primary nickel corner, which poses significant risks when facing a formidable Vikings offense. If that doesn't send shivers down your spine, I don't know what will. You face quarterback Kirk Cousins, who constantly works to exploit any weaknesses. Not having arguably your top playmaker in the secondary could be monumental. Let's break down what this means for the team. Gordon isn't just any player. He's a versatile piece who excels in multiple roles on defense, and without him, we'd be fashioning a patchwork secondary trying to hold down the fort. His absence would leave a massive hole, especially if Nick Mloud is the only healthy option available at nickel. The ripple effects could domino throughout the defense as they scramble to adapt to a reshuffled lineup just hours before an important matchup. But wait, there's some silver lining amidst all this uncertainty. On a positive note, the Vikings will be without safety Harrison Smith, who won't even be making the trip to Chicago. Smith's leadership and experience in the secondary will undoubtedly be missed, and that leaves them vulnerable. One can't help but wonder, will the Bears take full advantage of this opportunity? With a few pieces missing in the Vikings' defense, who's to say we can't exploit their weaknesses? At the end of the day, the pressure amps up. These next 24 hours could reshape the narrative of the Bears' season. How well will the Bears adapt if both Johnson and Gordon cannot go? Are we finally seeing the tides turn in favor of our defense, or are we holding onto a fragile whims of fate that may come crashing down? As we await tomorrow's kickoff, stay tuned right here for our final preview and score predictions. This is where you'll want to be as the Bears take center stage against their division rivals. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments. Will we rise as a formidable force against Minnesota, or will injury woes tarnish our chances? The narrative is still being written, and you won't want to miss a moment of it. Bear down. Bears fans, I'm furious, and you should be too. The clock is ticking down to one of the biggest matchups of the season against our bitter rivals, the Minnesota Vikings. But here we are, teetering on a knife's edge, dominated by whispers of uncertainty and debilitating injuries. If you bleed Chicago blue, subscribe now. We ride this storm together. It feels as if the ghosts of past seasons are brewing storm clouds over Soldier Field, and all eyes are fixated on the status of Kyler Gordon and Jalen Johnson. What if these players' absences lead to a fracturing locker room where frustration simmers like the piercing wind off Lake Michigan? Or perhaps our rivals, the Lions and the Packers, are circling like vultures, ready to feast on any misstep. We take? The stakes couldn't be higher, and fans have every right to feel anxious. Injuries have a notorious habit of derailing seasons in Bears Nation. Rumors have begun to swirl about Gordon's hamstring injury, and sources say that if he can't go, it could lead to untested players filling significant roles. Imagine the duo of Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson salivating at the thought of exploiting a depleted secondary. What happens if our young, inexperienced defensive backs get burned repeatedly on national television, exposing us as the Bears we dread becoming? This kind of scenario isn't just a nightmare. It could become our horrific reality if Gordon's presence isn't felt on the field. Even as we play mental chess about next season, this could force GM Ryan Poles to reconsider his options, possibly pulling the trigger on trades to bolster our depth in critical areas. With just hours left before kickoff, the urgency is palpable. The reports coming out of Hollis Hall contradict the hope we desperately cling to. Kyler was supposed to be a cornerstone of this defense. And now, when a cornerstone becomes a question mark, it sends shockwaves through a fan base that prides itself on grit. It's a scenario riddled with potential disasters, and rhythms of past heartbreak resonate loudly. 2020's lost season, 2018's painful shortcoming. For all the new blood in the organization, you can't help but feel the nostalgia for the hard-hitting, tough-as-nails Bears of the 2006 Super Bowl run, the defensive prowess that once made opposing offenses tremble. As we gear up for this monumental clash, the icy lakefront wind bites harder tonight because rumors are spreading that if Johnson doesn't suit up, it gives our fiercest foes an invitation to exploit our vulnerabilities. Could we face back-to-back weeks of blown opportunities against divisional rivals? And as the clock winds down, the dread looms longer. What if both of our top corners sit, leaving us with little more than a band of inexperienced depth pieces to fend off a hungry Vikings offense? The taste of musty tailgate smoke and the echoes of Soldier Field roar feel muted under this grave uncertainty. How much pressure can the Bears withstand before the weight comes crashing down? This isn't just a decision for tomorrow's game. It's an inflection point for the entire season. We're staring at the consequences that these injuries could spark. A looming coaching shakeup, strategy rework, or worse, losing our grip on the division standing. The uncertainty breeds tension that rivals the highest stakes of the NFC North. And as we flush out this unsettling news, you can't help but wonder, if fate leads us down this path of injury-ridden despair, how far are we willing to bend before we break? The specter of past failures haunts every fan's psyche, coupled with the urgency of now. The clock does not lie, and this is the moment where legends are born or broken. With kickoff rapidly approaching, the narrative remains uncertain. This could define the identity of the Bears for the next decade. So let's ask ourselves, would you pull the trigger on the moves that could reshape our future, or will we hold onto hope that fades into the shadows of what used to be? It's decision time, Bears Nation. Time to confront the ghosts, bear down and stake our claim in the NFL landscape once and for all.